welcome to Behind the Bar with Steve. How the hell are you doing? Now this is episode 57, and it's an Outdoors Edition episode. It's Outdoors Edition number 11. We're back with Outdoors Edition because we got a whole bunch of good spring and summer hikes that have been done, and I've documented them. Documented what I've done out there. And we're getting back into it now. So I'm doing some Outdoors Edition. We're sprinkling in the other good stuff too, but this is Outdoors Edition. This is just a zero beer. This is just an Athletic Brewing. It's an Irish stout. Trying it out. We'll review some of these beers in a future episode. It tastes like a little like a Guinness. It's a little lighter, I guess. It's not as heavy. So in Berks County, there is a small town, and the town is called Topton. It's a small town in Berks County, Pennsylvania. And we're looking at some of the town here. That's Old Main. That's our famous big clock tower. It serves as a Lutheran home. It serves as a senior living place, a senior living residency. But it used to be, and it was built back in 1897, it used to be a orphanage for a very long time. So a very long part of its history, it served as an orphanage. And the famous clock tower, it is the number one the top of the architecture of Berks County is actually the Tower of Old Main here in Topton, Pennsylvania. Well, this is Outdoors Edition, so we're actually going to be talking about climbing a mountain. And so outside, a little bit outside the town of Topton is a mountain, and we call it Mount Topton. And it's a hikeable, climbable mountain. It's an interesting hike because as you get closer to the peak, there's a part of the hike where you got the trails are covered and almost buried by trees that were knocked down, probably by people that take trees for resources. And they just kind of covered all of the trails and stuff. You see the remnants of the trails. You see like trail markers on the trees that have been knocked down, and you can kind of see, hey, there probably was a trail here. That would be taking you to the top. So you're basically just climbing over these trees. We're climbing over all these trees to get to the top. So we pick up on the outside, on the outdoors. We're going to pick up on top of the mountain. But first, let's scroll through this awesome mountain. 1,300 feet elevation. Let's scroll through some pictures of this mountain as we look at it from the bottom, from down in the town. Okay, so then let's get right out there, and now I pick up at the top. This is going to be like a two hike thing that I did. I did two different hikes. This is the first hike. I'm up at the top, in the trees. We're trying to find some views. We're up there. I'm taking you out there. Let's go. Let's get out there. I'll tell you what. We'll talk all about it out there. All right, how we doing? And I'm on the top of Mount Topton. I'm above the town of Topton, Pennsylvania. And I should have shown you guys some picture from down below of the mountain. About a 1,200 foot altitude. 1,200 feet up. Maybe closer to 1,300. Good mountain, nice sized mountain. And I'm pretty much at the top up here. This is like the top. And these are some of the views we got. This is some views. The trees kind of in the way. But you see other mountains in the distance and stuff. So you get some nice views from above. And down there is all a lot of farmland and stuff. And we're kind of above all that. Up here on top of a mountain. Those other mountains in the distance, some of them are climbable mountains, where I'm going to be getting into that in the future, near future, hopefully. I can climb some of those mountains, and some of them are even linked to the Appalachian Trail. One of them is called the Pinnacle. You can kind of see it from here. Kind of those mountains out that way. I mean, we're real far from them. But out that way, it's kind of the Pinnacle, and there's the Appalachian Trail and stuff. We're going to be heading over that way in some future. But yeah, we're up a 100-foot mountain. Topton, Berks County. Just wanted to get some views from up here. Kind of on these real rugged trails. A lot of trees come down. And I don't know if this was some bad storm. I think this was man-made. I think they just knocked a lot of trees down. But you could tell there's a remnants of an old trail because there's markings on these trees that are knocked down. Like these blue markings. This was definitely a legitimate trail. But they haven't been keeping up with it that much. They knocked down all these trees. So a lot of the trail is blocked. So it really just creates a bunch of obstructions. You got to climb over a lot of different logs and trees and sticks and all this stuff. But there is definitely still a trail left. And it's not a bad trail. It'll get you up a nice big mountain up here. So that's what we did. That's what we did. And here's something from the top of that mountain that's bizarre to me. What I don't like is you have all these posted signs. No cross, no trespassing, no hunting, no nothing. Private property. A private property of what? Of what? There's wires. They're running power lines through here. And there's all this stuff. Who's owning this property, man? Makes no sense to me whatsoever. Someone named Cash. Who the hell is this? Or Kaba, or whatever this is. And they're all along here. They're all along this ridge here. These private property notices. I mean, this happens all the time when I'm hiking. There's property lines. But this is ridiculous. Like, of what? Of what? Like, I can't go there because I'm on somebody's private property. Whose private property? Who's owning all this? This public is. I can see for a safety concern from the power lines and stuff, but we do that all the time on the hikes. We go through the power line things. It's no, and who's to say something, you know? Who's going to be out here like, hey, you're on private property? But I guess we'll respect it. But of what? And there's a radio tower over there. That's the radio tower from below the mountain. Right there. we're much closer to it, almost, because it's like the top of the mountain is that tower, and we're up there with it. But I would be some type of obstruction to go out that way. Doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm sure people would do it all the time. Go out there. But whatever, just wanted to make something out of that. But actually, come to think of it now, that was the last private property notice. Which means I might be cut loose to be able to go and flow over this way. Not being on any private property. That's what I'm thinking. There's no more private property notices. Unless I'm deep over the line and don't even know it. But I don't see any more signs. Like, that was the last notice. That one right there, was the last one. So don't go that way, but it doesn't matter if you keep going this way. I guess that's the way it is. So now I'm like, I can just keep walking. And I'm not crossing any property lines. Property lines that are absolutely ridiculous to begin with. There's nothing out here. There's nothing out here. There's nothing you need to have a property thing. Whatever. Okay, and then there's a few more pictures. This is on the first day of hiking. A few more pictures of some other things I've seen once I got to the top of the mountain and I'm getting closer to that radio tower. So you see that radio tower from down... So we saw that radio tower from down below when we were in the town looking up at the mountain. You see that radio tower. That is the peak of the mountain. We're trying to get up towards that radio tower. So we're getting closer to it, getting some pictures. And let's go through some of these pictures. So then that concludes the day one of the hike up there. The first day of hiking up there, this is concluding that day. You saw what happened with the private property notices. I was out there on a bit of a rant, so you could call that a little bit of a mini Steve soapbox out there, ranting about how the private property line was... It was about the private property line. We saw what happened. I explained it while we were out there. I had to get back down the mountain. I was done for the day. We're gonna go back up there again. We'll end this episode. We'll end 57. We'll pick it back up in episode 58. It will be the second hike of Mount Topton. We'll get back up there again. It gets better on the second one. I'm telling you now at the end, but next episode, way better views, clear day. Oh, it was amazing. And we did a little bit of sneaking around. It got a little shady. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to be there or not. It gets real interesting in the next episode. Let's leave it for the next episode. That'll be episode 58. That's it for this one. Have a good one.